You know, it's strange. I've always just kind of like had my eyes open to what was around me, you know, and things would just like come in and out of my life, and it was up to me to really dig deeper on those if it felt right, or just kind of, you know, pass and move on to the next thing. You know, like music, for example, that was something that just kind of came to me. I was competing at the X Games. I won the slopestyle event and the half pipe, which made me the athlete of the games, you know, which they called me. And you win a guitar and you win a car as the prize. And I remember thinking like, sick, let's drive the car. You know, I'm thinking about this guitar, and you know, randomly, you know, I'd won this guitar, and then my brother was like, oh, I'm gonna start playing guitar, that'd be cool. And then some kids in my neighborhood, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I have a guitar. And it was a great guitar. It was a Fender Strat, American made. And I called my buddy who actually brought the guitar home from Colorado for me, and picked it up, started playing, and fell in love with playing. And then the competitor in me was like, you know what? I want to do this. Like, no one knows, and I'm not going to tell you, but I'm going to train just as hard as I would train on a snowboard or something else, because maybe one day in the future I could actually be in a band. And wouldn't it be cool to pick up a guitar and be able to really play like a true musician? And so that was kind of my long-term goal, and I would play and play and play, and then the time came where I actually made friends in music. I joined a band, and we put out an album and toured. Yeah.
Wow.
I would say through sports. You know, at a young age, I was like, you know, a lot of angst, and I wanted to do things, and that's where snowboarding came along, and it gave me that outlet. And you know, it was fun and it was cool in the beginning, and then my parents were like, oh, maybe he's pretty good at it. People around the mountain are telling them I was pretty good, and so they put me into a competition, and it was a race, and I won. You know, I was pretty fast, and so
this is like at 7.
Yeah,
right?
like 6, 7, and I'd skied at 4. If you call it skiing, I basically I wasn't allowed poles because I would hit people. I was like really into the Ninja Turtles, and I was just like I had moves. I thought I had moves, and so yeah, I ended up not allowed poles, and then I would just like go into the trees, and they'd lose me, and they'd be all worried about where I was and what would happen, and so they're like, oh, we'll put him on a snowboard. He'll be falling. We'll keep track of him. It'll be great. And so obviously I figured it out pretty quickly. And then they put me in a competition at the local resort up at Snow Summit, and you know, I won, and that gave me this like, wow, I could win something. And then it gave me the, you know, the passion to work hard at something, to keep winning. You know, once you get that taste of victory, and you're like, wow, well maybe, I want to keep going on this path. I think that was where it stemmed from. And then the other huge component, which I'm sure if you read any other sports book or anything, I have an older brother, 7 years older than me. So a lot bigger, a lot stronger, a lot smarter, you know, and he was always beating me at everything I did. Everything. Monopoly, chess, like anything, the video games, the snowboarding, like everything. He was just always winning, and I just couldn't beat him. And, you know, I just kept at it, and I finally crossed that barrier where I was actually learning the tricks he was learning at the time, but he's 7 years older. So, you know, in my age division, it was just, you know, no contest. And so that's what kind of stemmed that whole me turning pro at 13, because I was already ready for, you know, the next level. I was 15 years old, and I flew to Japan to do this big competition called the Toyota Big Air. And I remember getting there. I'm pretty sure the way it worked out is like the specific invited riders got a little bit of money to show up, and then obviously there's great prize money, and you had maybe 3 or 4 days of practice. And I was 15, so my mom's there, and I was paying out of my own travel to like get the flights, to get the food, to get the hotel, and all these things. I remember sitting there, and it's the game day, you know, we're supposed to hit the jump, and everyone's complaining, which is like music to my ears, because I'm having the best day ever. And you know, yeah, the guys had gone out, we're in Japan, there's a lot of fun things to do, and I was like in my room with my mom, like doing my algebra or whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, you guys go have fun, I'm gonna, you know, do my schoolwork. And so anyways, long story short, they all got together and were like, we're gonna split the prize money for the competition. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, like doing the quick math, I'm like, this doesn't even cover the flights out once you split it up among all the riders and whatnot. And I said no. So at 15, I was like, no, I want to compete. And they just sat there and hazed me, and there was like this this board of like all the riders' faces for who was at the competition, and they took turns like drawing dollar signs on my eyes and doing whatnot. And I just remember being like, I'm not gonna succumb to the like pure pressure of this. Like, I came here to compete, I'm feeling great, and I stuck to my, you know, gut feeling there, and I won. I won $50,000 in a car. But yeah, it was a time where I just kind of like stuck to it, and that was a big win for me. And that was kind of the first realization that I didn't have to follow the pack. I didn't have to do what everyone else said because it's what they want or what they should do or what is you're supposed to do. I just kind of felt like, you know what, this is a point where I should make a stand. I should really be me and own it, and I did, and I won. It was pretty wild. You know, it's your chance to do something great, and I strive for those moments, and I wish I could recreate them in the normal life setting, because it changes from I want to do this new trick to I have to do this new trick. And it's the best because it takes that seed of doubt out of your mind, and once that doubt is gone, like, you know, if I asked you to jump over the table or something, and you know, you were like gonna practice it, and then we're like, all right, we're gonna film this one. You're like, I better make it. You know what I mean? Like, and you're expected to jump over the table, and it's gonna happen. So what are you gonna do to best prepare yourself? And that's kind of that motivation of like getting to the contest and throwing the big tricks and seeing your competition and that motivation. And I've always loved that.
What do you think makes somebody a champion? What's helped to make you a champion? And then what does it take to come back after that? What would you coach somebody on if you were coaching somebody who's been through a tough time?
You know, I mean, only through my own experiences is that like Sochi obviously was one of the biggest upsets in my career, in my life. And I'm sitting there, and like once the tears and everything had dried up, I was like, I'm gonna turn this into the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.